This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. It is Ravens Friday night.
Ravens Friday.
Ravens Friday. I'm Dale Lolley. He is Matt. Pittsburgh Steeler land. The Steelers hosting the Ravens, 1 o'clock on Sunday. There were a lot of people, Matt, who asked me, like in the weeks leading up to this game, why isn't this the night game? Why is this a 1 o'clock game? Here's the thing. The Steelers play Thursday night in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't exactly be fair to make them play a night game Sunday night or even Sunday afternoon.
And then get it in as quick as possible. It makes sense. I mean, on a Thursday, that makes all the sense.
Fair is fair.
Yeah. I mean, there's enough. Baltimore has enough rest advantages, and and there's enough difficult things here for the Steelers' schedule upcoming. So no, that's fair. I mean, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fair, but it is what it is. It's just fair as they can make it.
Yep, absolutely.
And as you saw last night, the Washington Commanders had to do the same thing that the Steelers are going to do.
Right, against a massive division opponent that happens to be in first place, too, and they wore out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the only difference here is that the Steelers will play back-to-back division games in this short week. So it's not ideal.
Not ideal. I mean, I feel for Washington because they had to go to Philly. I'm like, if this was Cleveland this week and then short week in Baltimore, that'd be kind of similar to what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, just in terms of how
the
much
magnitude
it matters.
of the games.
Yeah, exactly. First place,
Yeah.
I thought that was a big component last night. I thought Philly was a better team, but they outscored them like 20-6 in the fourth quarter. They looked pretty ragged on defense at the end.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels didn't look like
he had
himself.
a rough day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I'm not worried about him. That's 2 in a row where he's coming back to earth a little bit.
You're going to have that. It's the November wall that rookies hit, I think, to a certain degree. Now teams have more film on you.
Yeah.
You've got more stuff to go off of.
Yeah, and I also think
level.
their roster's a little thin, and it's been a great year. I'm not saying it's over. I still think
they're
they're
still a playoff team.
Yeah, but I think that they're not a big boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they've shown that the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I thought as I was watching that game, especially like the first 3 quarters, I'm like, Steelers moved the ball much more consistently than Philly was.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty disjointed. Missed 2 field goals.
And Saquon didn't really get going until the last couple of drives.
And I didn't think Hurts did either. Frankly, I didn't think it was a great game until the end, really. But I think the Eagles' defense deserves credit. They're on the schedule here coming up, and they're a little differently constructed on that side of the ball now. Jalen Carter's an utter superstar. I mean, if you can keep him on the straight and narrow and all that, I mean, he is really good at this game. And their young Georgia guys seem to be getting better. Dean on the second level and Braun. I mean, they would never had anything at linebacker. Now it's actually a strength.
I was a Bond fan.
Yeah.
Back when he came out in the draft, and he just never hit in New Orleans, and now he looks like.
I think they used him more as an edge than they should have in New Orleans. Now he's just a pure off-the-ball linebacker. And then the rookie corners. I mean, guys we liked in the draft, DeJean and Mitchell, have made all the difference. So they're not as old back there. I mean, then defense is good.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter because no matter what Philadelphia was this season, when the Steelers go out there, I can just tell you right now, folks, I am not picking the Steelers in Philadelphia. Not going to happen.
They just don't win games there.
I've seen way too many of these where Steelers Super Bowl teams that would end up in the Super Bowl, go to Philadelphia and lose. I've seen that.
You said
I've seen that movie too many times.
Yeah. It happens over and over and over. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, but this week the Steelers get the Ravens, a team they've beaten 7 out of the last 8 times that they played, and some of that. I go back to something Patrick Peterson said last year on his podcast after the Steelers played the Ravens and beat them here.
Okay.
And if you remember that game, Steelers are down. They're trailing late in the game. And the Ravens all of a sudden decide to go zero coverage, or zero blitz, and leave George Pickens one-on-one on the outside.
Yeah.
And Pickett throws the touchdown pass. So many times we've seen this. A few years ago, the Ravens come down, they score to tie the game, and Harbaugh decides to go for 2, and they don't get it.
I wonder if he outthinks himself a little bit.
I think some of that is it. Sometimes he gets into these situations, and I don't know if it's because Tomlin is in his head a little bit here, or he just kind of gets into this.
Thinks he has to do a little extra, or they've lost a lot in a row, and it starts to wear on you.
Sometimes
you
beat yourself. I thought Washington kind of did that last night because Washington was leading that game. They go down 12-10. They're in field goal range, and they go for it on 4th and 2 and don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't quite approve of that. I didn't know if that was a Zane Gonzalez decision, too.
It was like a 43-yard field goal.
Right, and he was fine against the Steelers.
Yeah.
I don't know if either team was super confident in their kickers by the end of the night. I thought the same thing, though. I'm like, just take the points. It doesn't make you smarter and, all that stuff. Just take the points.
You're in the fourth quarter. Take the lead.
Take the lead. Put more pressure on your rival and go from there.
And so I think sometimes Harbaugh does some silly things like that in these games because I think he understands the magnitude of the games, and he's a very good football coach.
Oh yeah, he's going to the Hall of Fame.
But sometimes he does things outside of the norm that you look at and you go, man, that's not the move to make here.
And along those lines, Steeler games aside for them, they lose a lot of leads. Especially as well as they're constructed. They let teams back in or flat out lose the game over the last year, 2 or 3. More than a team that's constructed the way they are.
Yeah, a team that runs the ball that well should not lose.
No, right.
Double-digit fourth quarter leads.
And usually they've better than the league's worst pass defense too. It's not usually this bad on defense.
Yeah, so it's just something that's nagged at me ever since Peterson said that. And the other thing that Peterson said on that podcast, he said, "Hey, Mike Tomlin prepped us for that at his Wednesday meeting."
Really?
He said, "Look, if this is a close game late, Harbaugh's going to burn the houses.
Okay.
He's going to do something crazy to try to win the game." Now, sometimes that stuff works. Sometimes, but oftentimes it doesn't. And you do something crazy like you go 0 blitz against a team that's at that point I think had scored 8 points against you or whatever it was in that game. I think their Steelers were down 2 and ended up winning 17-10, so it must have been down 1. They're kind of already in field goal range. I get it. Maybe you're trying to knock them out of field goal possibility.
Yeah.
But you're leaving George Pickens all one-on-one on the outside.
It comes down to a lot of the Belichick stuff. How can we lose this game?
Right.
Well, that's how you can
lose the game.
Right. Don't put yourself in a position where, if one little thing goes wrong, then now we're in losing time.
Yeah, now we got to score a touchdown to tie it.
And we've talked about this a lot, but I also think it could be even brought up more. It's like you and I think we used the example a couple of weeks ago. It's like you and I playing chess against each other. And if we do it every day, you really get to know the other team's tendencies. Right. Now, we don't have the same chess pieces. I might have 4 horses, and you might have 2 queens, and,
we start out the same, but we don't finish the same.
I don't think they do. I think the Ravens, have different chess pieces, but if I know how you use yours, because we've matched up so many times, it's a huge advantage. And I get the hunch that Harbaugh doesn't have, or Tomlin doesn't have Harbaugh's number. That's too strong, but might have a better understanding of his opponent than his opponent does of him.
Yeah, I think that's true.
In this matchup.
Well, think back to the Kansas City game. People were talking about the Ravens game in the opener against Kansas City.
Thursday nighter.
They were lining up to go for 2 in that situation.
Had he got this likely or whatever.
So people were they were going to beat the Chiefs. Well, no, they were going to tie the Chiefs if he kicks the extra point.
Yeah.
Which is probably the thing that you should do in that situation. Why are you trying to go for 2 there? And
you still need to convert it to win the game.
Yeah, you need to convert a 2-point conversion. And again, that goes back to what Harbaugh did against the Steelers a few years ago, where you come down, you get within a point. All you got to do is send out the greatest kicker of all time to kick a point after, or you're going to put this to a 50-50 proposition with your offense on the field.
Yeah.
And it's really 2-point conversions, I think, over the last 5 or 6 years is like 47%.
I bet they're under, yeah. Because you can still get a hold or a bad
There's so many things that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do remember having that conversation after the opener, like, let's not just assume that they were going to win if his toe was in. Right. You know what I mean? There's still more that needed done,
I mean, there have been other coaches who've been, I get it. You're going to be questioned one way or the other when you lose that game.
Sure.
Do you take it to overtime? You
don't want to give Mahomes the ball on a coin flip either,
I get it.
But you still have 50% chance of winning the coin flip.
Right. Which might be, it's probably a better odds than what you had to make the 2-point conversion.
I would say so. And you can also play some defense in overtime.
You're allowed.
You're allowed. You
are allowed to do that.
Yeah. So they're a really good team. This is a really good matchup. I think we could break down so many angles of it, but the history is a great place to start, and the rivalry and the coaching battle. It's Arthur Smith's first one, against a new defensive coordinator on their side too. How does that factor in? New quarterback, new Henry, Queens on the other team. The familiarity is really interesting and a massive deal for this one. But it's also the new guys,
Yeah.
I mean, every year there's going to be new people involved in this rivalry that, one of them happens to be the starting quarterback.
Well, it's not just Queen in this situation for the Steelers. Deshaun Elliott played for them too.
Right.
And, so you've got two guys at the second level who've practiced against Lamar on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe have an idea of some of his tendencies.
I wonder how much Arthur Smith chatted with those guys too, or Wilson or whatever. I know it's a different defensive coordinator, but the system's the same. It's just different people running it. You know, how they want to do things.
Yeah. What throws does Lamar really like to make?
Mm-hmm.
When he's rolling to his right, is he as dangerous as when he's rolling to his left and things like that?
Yeah. I was looking from a different perspective of, hey, Patrick, how can we attack Roquan? You know what I mean? But I think you're right too. Linderbaum's can't handle bull rush, or you know what I mean? He'd be the smaller guy. That's why I picked that. Things like that.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of stuff there that make this interesting. To me, this is the NFL's best rivalry.
I tend to agree. I mean, the last couple of years haven't been as great as they were when Hines Ward and Ray Lewis were out there. I mean, that was far and away number one. But those things haven't gone away either.
No, the memories are still. Russell Wilson was talking about it this week. He's never been involved in a Steelers-Ravens game before, and he's talking about, all the great games these two teams have played against each other. And, you understand that going into this. And I think Tomlin does a great job of driving those things home.
I think that's pretty evident. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Cam Hayward helps. And, guys that have been around, it goes a long way. I mean, even just – him telling Queen, you're not a Raven, you haven't beaten the Steelers. Things like that. It's not hidden.
No, and I do think Tomlin likes to play those kind of little mind games too.
Absolutely,
with players like just calling Jackson Mr. Jackson all week.
Did he? Okay.
Anytime he mentioned him, because
Deontay came up. Yeah. I mean, any little thing, right?
He was asked about Jackson. If playing Jaden Daniels got them ready for Jackson
Lamar,
this week, he was asked that after the game on Sunday, and he goes, "Oh, there's only one Mr. Jackson."
Okay.
And Jaden Daniels is a good young quarterback, but he's not Mr. Jackson.
Mm-hmm. And of course, knowing Lamar's going to hear that.
Yeah,
of course. No, that's good stuff. No matter when they play, it's a big week. I mean, of course, but this one is a little heavier. I mean, the AFC's not written yet. That KC Buffalo game's going to have a lot to do with who ends up with home field advantage and things of that nature. But who wins this division, this is going to be a massive, massive game for that.
I want to say this is the fifth time these two teams will have met where both teams were at least 4 games over 500.
Really?
In a season. Steelers have won all the previous 4.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen in the first 8 weeks of the season.
Right.
Very likely.
You can't do it then.
Right? Yeah, it was narrowed down. It pretty much has to be November or later to really make it work.
When these two teams have both been good, the Steelers have largely won those
Deeper
games.
into the year and all that good stuff, too. Yeah, I think that
and that's largely Tomlin.
Yes. I know Lamar's only won in Pittsburgh once in his life, and Duck Hodges was the opposite quarterback. So it's odd to me that he hasn't played the Steelers very often either.
It really is.
Yeah,
fluky. There's some strangeness to it. Ben went through a stretch of that early in his career because I think at one point he was like 8-0 against the Ravens, but that was like 8 years into his career.
Okay.
Because every year it just seemed like he got hurt.
There was a Charlie
the
Batch
week or
game
two,
there.
the week or two before they played the Ravens, or he was suspended, or whatever it may be.
Happened that time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there was a COVID year with Lamar and all that weird stuff too. So no, they're going to probably see a lot of each other though going forward. I don't think it's going to hold up that he only plays 4 out of a possible X amount of games.
Well, let me ask you this about that. So the Steelers have some high-profile free agents coming up.
Yeah.
Dan Moore, Najee Harris, Russell Wilson. And so Pro Football Focus posed a question: will the Steelers break their own rules and extend Russell Wilson's contract? And Mike Florio wrote this, and he said, he says their idea that they don't negotiate contracts during the season is dumb and it's antiquated. There's a reason they do this, and they do it this way, and it dates back to 1993. When I was in that locker room, when guys openly talked after they lost in the playoffs that year, and they were cleaning their lockers out, and guys openly talked about Adrian Cooper and Donald Evans being chief among them, how they were having open negotiations with the Steelers during the season, and when contract talks broke off, or they decided, hey, no, we're gonna prioritize this guy instead. Those guys both said they both admitted that they didn't play as hard.
They didn't have as much skin in the game.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I mean, we're using the T. Higgins example a bunch with Cincinnati. There's rumors he might not play again this year. All of a sudden,
no, they said he's expected to play this week.
Okay, I thought there was more news recently, but it's a distraction.
Yeah. And why have players worrying about if you have a set rule, and that's your rule, and everybody knows the rule.
You're right.
If the thing that would throw it fly into the ointment is if you broke the rule.
Yes, but if you're going to break the rule, I could see it for your starting quarterback.
Here's the thing, though. So
I'm not doing it with Dan Moore. Yeah, I mean,
do we really think that at the end of this season, if this is a successful season for the Steelers, it's all that Russell Wilson, who just got out of a bad situation in Denver, is really going to want to go try to get a new situation somewhere else?
I mean, he'd be crazy not to listen, but there's no way he just packs his bags and runs out of here the day they're eliminated or win the Super Bowl, and boom, I'm out of here. I'm never going to talk to you guys again.
I've talked to too many guys privately, team leaders, who have Russell Wilson loves it here.
Yeah.
He feels rejuvenated here. He wants to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He said that he wants to revive his career. There was so much bad stuff said and written about him over the past 3 or 4 years that he feels like he has to. Yeah, he has something to prove.
Yeah. They're getting him at the right time of his career for that stuff,
And one of the things that was said to me, and this hit home, was that Russ doesn't feel like he has to carry the entire load here.
Yeah. I mean, you would think in Denver, we just traded all this stuff for you. You're the franchise, and I got to be bigger than life. And even on his best day in year 5 of his career, he was never that guy.
Right.
I mean, there's few of them ever. You know what I mean? He had the Legion of Boom. He had Lynch. He had Lockett, Baldwin. I mean, he had gone good teams, and he was a major driving force for their wins, including a Super Bowl win. But it was never like Burrow is right now. We got nothing for you. If you don't play great, we're not going to win.
This is the reason. So it's my understanding that after Russell Wilson talked to Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan, Russell Wilson,
when he was a free agent,
Russell Wilson was the one who reached out and talked to some of the team leaders on this team.
He called up Cam.
He called them.
Okay.
And said, "Look, I'm not coming here to be the face of the franchise. I just want to be one of the cogs. You guys are the leaders of that locker room.
You guys got a good thing going here. I just want to jump on board.
I just want to come in here and be part of it."
Yeah, and I doubt that would change after being here for a year.
Right.
I mean, he may have more leadership, more faces on billboards, etc.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's me and then you guys all sit over there.
But Florio's supposition is that if the Steelers don't sign him during the season, well, he's going to test free agent. He's going to be a free agent. Like, there's still a month in between there. You can still negotiate a new deal.
Yes.
And, oh, by the way, you had the franchise tag.
Yes. And say Bob Jones is his agent, and you sign a corner from Bob Jones off the scrap heap in week 10 or whatever. Hey, what's Russ looking for, give or take? It doesn't mean you can't have a conversation with somebody, or be in the ballpark. If they're like, he wants $65 million, wants to be the highest paid quarterback in the history of the world. Well, then maybe that's not the plan we're going to go.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Which would be good to know.
Yeah.
Before Justin Fields also becomes these are little things that you kind of need to know.
I mean,
but this whole idea that they have to break their rule where Russell Wilson's going to be gone.
No, right.
I don't see that happening at all.
Again, I can't imagine him just being like, I'm running out the door the second this season's over. I can't wait to get out of here. I don't even care if you call me. I'm not calling you back.
Having way too much fun.
Yeah.
And these games are part of it, and so this could be the first of several meetings over the next few years between Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson.
I think it's extremely, extremely possible, and I'm not even implying this is true, but for Florio's statement to even be true, maybe the Steelers want to play more than 3 games with them first. I mean,
well, there's that.
Things can happen. I mean, he could turn into a pumpkin too.
Right.
Maybe I want to see a whole year of you. I want to see him play the division.
Yeah. Maybe he can't beat anybody in the division. Who knows?
Right. Maybe the division games are brutal for him. Who knows? And give him as much information as possible. You said this a ton. Lab says it all the time. This organization doesn't make decisions until they have to.
Right.
You don't have to yet.
Yeah, it's just what they do, and
you're going to learn more.
It's largely the smart way to do business, and you don't make knee-jerk decisions.
Right. And I can understand sometimes in the contract world of if we sign him now, maybe we'll get him for 80 cents on the dollar, and we'll have more cap space. I don't know. In this case, in such a high-profile starting quarterback situation, the money he has, his wife, the lifestyle he has, what he's accomplished in the league, that they're going to be fighting over 2% of cap space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But yeah, we should get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Radio Network. And, of course, you can listen to The Drive every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Next week, because of the game on Thursday night, there won't be a drive on Thursday night, but we'll have one every other day of the week. But you can also download the Steelers mobile app. Then you don't have to worry about when the show is on. It just downloads
all the
into
time.
your phone.
That's what I do.
Get it right there. Or you can watch us on YouTube. So you can do that as well. But I'm Dale Lolley. He is Matt Williamson. And we'll be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and we're joined on the Justin Miller hotline, which is actually being manned by C.J. Wolfley today.
Substitute teacher.
Yeah, we got the substitute in, so we're going a little crazy today. We got Missi Matthews, Steelers sideline reporter, on the hotline here. And Missi, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's Ravens week. It's Friday. What is there to complain about?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you've hidden all your purple clothes this week.
You know what? I have gotten yelled at many of times for wearing something that is a similar, even just like color scheme, not the color. So I am very superstitious about it. I even made sure when I got my nails done yesterday that I mistake the color for purple. I'm all in. I'm all in.
So, Missi, the Steelers go to Washington last Sunday. They beat the Commanders down there, and Steelers Nation showed up again in that stadium and kind of took it over. Do you see reactions from the players to that stuff when you're on the field? I mean, they have to look at that, especially the guys who are new to the team. What was Mike Williams? Did you see him at all in his response to that last week, or Preston Smith?
Well, I think Preston Smith I saw more. Obviously, Mike Williams did not play a lot, but I got a chance to interview him right after the game, right after the touchdown. The
place erupted after that.
Yes, and I even said, I'm like, hey, what do you think about, you're not at home yet in Pittsburgh, but Steelers fans, and he's like, this is seriously crazy. Like, this is crazy, but this is cool. And you could tell he was kind of like, man, all right. It wasn't just when I played them in Pittsburgh when he was with the Jets. It was just like that in Washington. Obviously not the same, but it was funny. And I do think, I'll give Washington fans credit, and they have a lot to be excited about. There was a lot of them, and trust me, when things were going right for them, you heard them. The whole towel thing, as we anticipated, did not work. The terrible towel just completely outdoes these other like gimmicky towels, and they're not waving them at the same time. So those were kind of not very noticeable. Some of their seats are like a burgundy reddish color, so it just didn't work for them. The yellow pops more. But I did notice, some of their fans very enthusiastic, including some who were sitting in the front row behind the Steelers bench and who was kind of giving it to the Steelers defensive players, during the early portions of the game, to the point where I was like, man, is this guy going to get kicked out? Like, and he was kind of like really going after Patrick Queen, which I was like, man, Patrick Queen would not be the guy I would pick to mess with today. He's like a man on a mission. He's playing well, and I don't know. He's probably the guy I would want on my side if I got in a fight, right? And after the game, you can bet some of those defensive backs made sure to let that fan know who won the game, and he was still there, shockingly. But yeah, I think the players definitely notice it, and then it's kind of the opposite way sometimes too when you're in an opposing stadium and you have non-Yinzers sitting behind your team bench.
So, do you know off the top of your head how many Ravens-Steelers games you've covered from the sideline? And is there any that just stand out, or is that picking your favorite flavor ice cream or favorite child type of thing?
I don't know the number. I should calculate that just for my own, knowledge.
What year did you start, Missi? Was it like 2009, 2010, somewhere in there?
Nope, not till 2012.
12, okay.
Yeah. So my first one, of course, that I've actually been there live on the sidelines to witness is the Christmas Day game, the Immaculate Extension with Antonio Brown and Ramon Foster spiking the ball. I mean, it was Christmas. They won the division. That game definitely sticks out, I think, the most.
How could it not? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you expect something similar in this game. It was interesting yesterday. Arthur Smith had his press conference, and he said that, hey, look, this is a playoff type atmosphere, or as close as you can get to it in a regular season game. We're in week 11. This isn't week 17 or 16 or 17. Like, this is
win or go home.
Yeah, this is nothing like that, but it does have that feel to it.
It does. I really think there's just a little uptick in the intensity this week. As you said, it's not do or die, but I think both teams know what a win in this matchup in round one of this match could potentially mean moving down the road. And especially for the Steelers, this is their first AFC North team, and we know how important division games are. So obviously a lot can change depending on what happens. They have 4 straight AFC North games, starting Sunday. That's no easy task. A short week Thursday, you're heading to Cleveland. So I do think that it does have that playoff vibe. Not the same as, sometimes like even last year, that game in Baltimore meant nothing to the Ravens, but the Steelers had to win it. They had to win it and have a million other things happen, but that was different. Luckily, the rain will not be raining like it was in Baltimore week 18 last year. But I do think it has that playoff vibe. I think you add in some new storylines with Patrick Queen and just Deshaun Elliott, Derrick Henry and Arthur Smith. It's just like an already great matchup where you're never short of storylines. You somehow get some really good ones on top of the usual suspects.
So speaking of traveling, would you expect more Ravens fans here or more Steeler fans there?
That would be neither, Matt.
They don't do that.
Teams, the Steelers travel well to most places.
Yeah.
They don't travel well to Baltimore, and Baltimore fans don't travel well here.
That's kind of what I was sitting here thinking. I was like, it's probably a low percentage of both, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you're going to get some here and there, but it's not like where, they're taking over a stadium at all. I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of Kansas City fans on Christmas Day, and probably the Kansas City fans that don't live in Kansas City. But, yeah, Steelers, Baltimore, I'm with Dale. It's kind of like, who the home team is, and Godspeed to the opposing fans that are in here, depending on what happens.
Stay on your side of the fence kind of thing, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just always too big of a game, even when Steeler fans want these games because it gives you an opportunity to take that walk down memory lane and remember Troy Polamalu, strip sack or returning one
Hines
for a
Ward,
touchdown or Hines Ward blasting Ed. There's just too much there that you're not going to. If you are a season ticket holder, you're not selling your season tickets to a Ravens game. You're just not.
It sounds like the price is high for this game too. I mean, this is a sought after ticket. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's like you can't be a Steelers fan if you sell your ticket to a Ravens fan, right? Like it's in the handbook. It's not allowed.
Right,
And
right. That's actually when you buy the tickets, it says that you are not to sell these to a Ravens fan. Yes.
Unless maybe you're like selling it to a neighbor or something. We're okay with that.
Yeah.
Make sure they're wearing a Steelers jersey or black and gold. But yeah, this and it's a 1:00 game, which is also crazy, but it still has that feel of like a primetime, blowout match.
Missi, last week was not Russell Wilson's best game in terms of completion percentage. He was the win was a little hectic on the field, and some of the deeper passes they were missing on early. What was his demeanor like on the sideline? Was he still upbeat and positive? Like, hey, look, I'm going to get this. And in the end, he ended up doing that. But did he stay pretty positive with that? Because it wasn't the prettiest of games.
No, he really is that steady Eddie, where he is positive all the time, where sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could have like 5% of his energy stay positive when things aren't going right. It's very admirable. And Arthur Smith even talked about it this week. That is just his nature. And I think even his first start in Pittsburgh, where he was knocking off some of that rust and literally home fans are booing you, he still was able to, it's almost like staying in neutral, but you're still, you have more positive vibes and you're not letting the negative ones creep in. And he definitely had that. He is very vocal. He goes up and down the bench, talks to obviously quarterback coach, Mike Sullivan, Arthur Smith, even Pat Meyer. He goes down the line of coaches, players. He's always pumping them up. He's always saying, we can do this. If you watch the Sights and Sounds that was cut on the Steelers YouTube page or Steelers.com this week, they had a little bit of him, talking to the guys before they went out of the tunnel right before the game. And same thing, very positive, like, let's go get them. We got this. We're going to be great type deal. And he really he is consistent in that. I will give him that.
There's some of the stuff that you heard about him from previous teams. People took that as fake. I don't think you can fake his attitude.
At least not what I've seen here.
24/7.
100%.
Right.
Nobody could do that.
Right.
And no, not on your best day. I don't think anybody could get through a whole day faking it like that.
And I think a lot of his positivity and the outlook you just outlined there is who he is, of course. But I also think it's because he's had success. He's been around Pete Carroll, who's like the most optimistic human being on the planet. And he's so well prepared. Just even watching him in camp, he'd throw a touchdown and then what's the next play? I'm not celebrating stuff. I'm here to do business and I'm very well prepared for it.
Mm-hmm. And it was funny hearing Arthur Smith talk about how his wife sometimes FaceTimes him on Friday nights to see if he's actually in the office, and he has to move the camera and show that he is in there with Russ still. He's not down on East Carson Street grabbing a brew. And even Russell was asked about it and said the same thing. I think they both just have that attention to detail that what is one more thing we can do to make us better, to make that a touchdown and not 3 points or, getting stopped. And they just have that maniacal, nonstop football brains that are probably very hard to turn off, especially during the season. They
probably put the clicker down finally, and then Arthur Smith gets a text on his way home as he's pulling off South Water Street. What if we do this?
It's probably who's going to leave first? Oh, I stayed longer.
Yeah, and Russell might still have his pads on from practice because that's who he is. And I can't fault that. I just look at it. It's kind of refreshing to see a guy who's been at this so long, 13 years in the league, and you can tell he just loves the game.
I think he loves going to work. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how that doesn't become. I don't know how other guys don't pick up with that and want to be like that.
Right. And
it's crazy.
Yeah. And he talks about the chasing greatness and how he immediately aligned on football views and just philosophy with Mike Tomlin right away. That is why we all say the standard is the standard. That is something that he embedded in the culture of the Pittsburgh Steelers when he became the head coach and throughout. you literally can sign a guy, even, like Russ and those different guys when they got signed in March, by like the first OTAs, when they're talking to the media, they're using Tomlinisms, like not quoting Coach Tomlin, but like as part of their answers and things, and you understand why it registers. And I think for Russ too, like, could you imagine having your career you did in Seattle, obviously Denver, probably not, high up on your resume list of things that happened, but if you can go to the playoffs and win with another team, that says a lot about you. And I think, that is chasing greatness for him, is to get back to a Super Bowl, and to maybe prove people wrong of, hey, I can do it somewhere else.
Absolutely. Hey, Missi, we're going to let you go. We appreciate you dropping by, and, we'll see you on Sunday. It's going to be a fun one. Can't wait for this one. Steelers-Ravens, 1 o'clock at Acrisure Stadium. Our guest has been Missi Matthews, the Steelers sideline reporter. You're not going to have to dress quite as warm this weekend, Missi, as it has been the last couple of days. I think it's supposed to be in the 60s.
It's supposed to be pretty nice, yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't be bad at all.
It is. Yeah, no rain or snow, I'm good with it. Just don't wear purple.
Absolutely. He is Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, Steelers-Ravens on Sunday. Can't wait for this one. Just the latest installment. And a victory for these two teams would mean different things, I think, for both teams.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I think public perception, and I sort of agree with it, is kind of Super Bowl or bust for the Ravens at this point. You have the MVP quarterback, the two-time MVP. I thought they were right in contention for best team in the league last year. That sneaking in the wild card at 10 wins and losing in round 1 in Buffalo or whatever would probably be a disappointing season. Where the Steelers, I kind of look at it big picture, and I think a lot of the national folks do too, like, ooh, are they coming back strong now? Can they play a lot of different brands of football? Can they throw on a bad pass defense where maybe the last 3 or 4 years you wouldn't be able to exploit the weaknesses? You know what I mean? Can they beat me any way they want with still the physicality and the things that we know aren't going away? Kind of like Washington. You lose 2 in a row, all of a sudden it's like, well, that was a nice story, but maybe they're not quite what they were looking like they could be.
Yeah, there's a lot of buts. If the Steelers lose this game, if they win this game, they hand Baltimore their second division loss.
Yeah, I'd say Baltimore's not in a great spot then.
Now, even if you then lose in Baltimore, if everything plays out and let's say you're 4-2 in the division.
Mm-hmm. Well, so would they, at best.
At best, that's what they would. That's the best that they could do.
Mm-hmm.
If you go 5-1 in the division, you're winning the division. Even if you lose in Baltimore, you're winning the division.
Where they're as
long as you finish, with the proper amount of wins. But that would be a good way to get there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we already know they're losing in Philly.
Right.
I mean, Kansas City's not going to be an easy game. But if you're 5-1 in the division, you're probably the division champ when it's all said and done.
I think so.
I mean, the chances are, I don't think the Ravens are going to run the table.
Because the Ravens would then have 4 losses, you'd have 2, and you'd have a game up on them in the division, and you'd be 1-0 in the division.
I don't think it's possible for Cincy to win the division. I know it's mathematically possible, but I mean, they'd have to run the table, and these two teams would have to really fall on their faces.
So this would be a huge step. And I also think a lot of the pressure in this game is on the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard, Lamar knows he's 1-3 in his starts against the Steelers. He was asked about it in his press conference this week.
Was
like, why? What can you put is there something you can put your finger on as to why you're 1-3 against the Steelers?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Why you play so poorly against the Steelers? I have no idea. John Harbaugh knows he's lost 7 of the last 8 games to the Steelers.
Oh, absolutely.
I guarantee you that eats at him 24 hours a day, even in the offseason.
I think he might, again, it's hard to speak on character or characteristics of these human beings, but it seems like Harbaugh's very aware of, we went undefeated in the preseason. We have a 100-yard streak going.
There's
things like that kind of
little
stuff.
things like that.
Little things I think he's a little more aware of than others.
Yeah, or at least willing to acknowledge them publicly.
Yeah.
Whereas some coaches just I don't look at that, or I don't read the papers. I think Harbaugh does, and he's not afraid to acknowledge it.
And it's probably eaten at him as much as not winning a Super Bowl lately or whatever. That man, does this team have our number, or is it just, oh, we rested our guys in week 18, or, we haven't had Lamar, or excuse it away? There's no excuses this week.
Yeah. I just know how Tomlin would handle this. He would be poking, if the shoe were on the other foot, he would be poking the bear. Like if Roethlisberger at this point was 1-3 against the Ravens.
Oh, or even Cam Hayward, right? Yeah,
he'd be poking him with the stick all week long, just picking at that scab all week long. Like,
100%.
I don't know if you can beat these guys.
Who's my most competitive dudes?
Yeah,
and Ben was probably that guy. Especially on the field in clutch situations, of course, and would be driving it home, I'm sure. And I'd be shocked if it's a blowout. Either way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean.
They have happened on occasion.
It's not
games.
Unheard of, right? But I think that the styles make fights, and these two styles mesh pretty well for a really good competitive game.
Well, here's the thing, and T.J. Watt said
I'm
this.
still not sure who I'm going to pick to win.
We talked to T.J. Watt today, and I thought he said something interesting. He was asked about that, the similarities between the team, and he said, "Look, these two they're the two best teams in the division, pretty consistently year in and year out.
Yeah.
So you draft guys to beat the other team. So stylistically things are going to match up because, all right, we got to figure out who we drafting to beat Ronnie Stanley on a consistent basis over the next, 8 years.
Yeah.
So you go draft Alex Highsmith. The Ravens are looking at okay.
Well, certainly when Lamar got picked.
Yeah.
Now the way we play defense has to change a little bit.
So you draft guys, you increase your team speed. How can we beat Lamar? How can we handle Lamar better? Okay, we better get faster.
Queen and Wilson at linebacker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Guys that can at least compete with his open field ability.
Right.
And things like that.
So you build your team to beat the team that you have to beat.
And I'm sure it comes up too. Like offhand remarks by the linebacker coach, the O-line coach in training camp when they're installing something. Well, the Ravens won in a lot of outside zone, or this, get used to it. I'm sure it pops up throughout the year.
Yeah, so it's should be fun.
Should be fun.
Yeah.
And they're two big time organizations that are always competitive and hopefully always will be. Do
the Ravens get more credit for that than maybe they deserve, more so than the Steelers? Like it's just always
to be very honest,
it's always assumed that the Ravens had a good draft. Every year.
That was one of the two avenues I was going to go down with this because Mel Kiper is from Baltimore and loves the Ravens. Yeah. And he's been the biggest name in draft community ever, and I have utmost respect for him. And frankly, if I were Mel and I was a Steeler guy, maybe I'd give them a A- instead of a B+. You know what I mean? If you're breaking down the draft on a national level. He's the biggest name in draft history, and he's a Ravens guy. And he'll be the first to tell you that. Kids that grew up in Baltimore, he brings it up on their draft profiles and stuff all the time. Cool, But I've been told, it's not really my bag, it's not really what I do, but too many people have told me over the years that organization, I don't want to say manipulates the media, but is more media aware than anyone in the league. That they feed the media, or I don't even know how that works.
They do little things like this. So I noticed this.
This is more your bag than mine, but I've been told this.
On the front page of their release, when they used to do paper releases, I didn't even look at their release this year, but they used to hand out, there'd be press releases, the package that you get each week from different teams.
Yeah.
And the Ravens were the only team that I knew of that if they had a gajillion injuries, like 2015 or 2014 or whatever year it was, that they were all banged up.
They got hit hard, yeah.
They put it right on the front page. We're playing without all these guys. This is how many man hours we've missed. It's like
that would never happen here.
Built-in excuses. No, it's the exact opposite for Pittsburgh. Well, we're not going to use that as an excuse.
Yeah. I mean, and I think they're a great organization. If 32 organizations called me up and said, we want to employ you, Matt, they'd be in my top 3 or 4 choices. There's no question about it. But I have been told media savvy, media paranoid, media manipulative, whatever. They're a little different than the other teams that way.
Yeah. So, anyways,
whatever.
Just interesting. But let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is the start to hour number 2 on a Friday, and that can only mean one thing.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. It's time to put together our DFS lineup for the weekend. And as we always do, Matt, we'll take a look at defenses first.
Okay.
We went through those on Tuesday earlier this week. There were several that we liked this week.
Yeah, there's some options I thought this week.
We'll go from top to bottom.
Okay.
The Lions are number one at 3,800.
I'm sure we can get a better value.
The Vikings against the Titans are 3,700. That's on the road.
I know. I just think Flores is going to put Levis in a blender.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 49ers against Seattle is 3,600. The Packers against Chicago are 3,500. You got the Ravens against the Steelers at 3,400. I don't understand that.
I just think there's going to be a lot of points.
I don't understand that one at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
The Saints against the Browns are 3,300.
I might pick the Browns to win that game.
I might too.
Yeah.
Actually, I did
Did you?
already, yeah. The Rams against New England, 3,200. The Texans against Dallas, 3,100.
I think they rebound a little bit.
The Chiefs against Buffalo, 3,100. The Dolphins against Vegas, 3,000.
It's not bad.
Yeah, but I saw something today that Ramsey got hurt in practice.
Oh, did he?
I don't like that.
Okay. I liked how they played last week.
Yeah. The Chargers against Cincinnati are 3,000. The Bengals on the other side of that are 2,900. The Broncos against Atlanta. Denver's at home.
I like that.
2,900.
I think I'm picking them to win that game too.
The Jets against Indianapolis, 2,800.
Okay.
Falcons against Denver, 2,700.
They don't ever sack the quarterback.
The Bills against Kansas City,
I'm
2,700.
surprised KC and Buffalo are that far apart.
Yeah, I was too. Like,
yeah, Buffalo's favored.
They'll get to the quarterback.
Yeah, I would think they'd be. I was curious who would be above the other, and I thought they'd be right next to each other.
The Browns in New Orleans are 2,600.
I like that a lot.
The Colts against the Jets are 2,600. Cowboys against Houston, 2,500. The Steelers are 2,500.
Seems cheap. I mean, they're playing a great offense.
They've sacked Lamar 20 times in his 4 starts.
Yeah.
Do we think that's going away? Is he going to suddenly start a bunch of quick passes? No, they still like to dial up their long passes.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just seems weird. Yeah. The Titans against – this is the other one that stood out to me. The Titans against Minnesota at home are $2,300.
Darnold's been throwing the ball to
Darnold's
the other
been throwing the
team,
ball to
and
the other team. Yeah.
I think Tennessee can – I don't know if they'll hang around, but that side of the ball, I think they'll compete.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I like Denver. I like Cleveland. I like that one.
Yeah, there's some good cheaper
options. I wouldn't
here.
go super expensive.
No, I don't see a need.
Was
to
Houston
this week.
pricey?
Houston was, they were one of the tops. But they weren't super. They were 3,100.
Will Anderson's coming back. No Dak. I think we mentioned it. I mean, Cooper Rush to me is probably better than what he looked, but
Yeah. He's
I
still
don't think
Cooper
he's
Rush.
good.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that one was 3,100.
Any of them jumping out at you?
You want to plug a cheap one in, or you want to plug that one in now, and if we need the money, we can come back to it. You want to plug the Texans in
All right, that's fair.
at 3,100? If we need money, there's several options we can pivot to.
Yeah, they played what, Thursday? They should be rested and all that.
Yeah.
I think they're in good shape.
At quarterback, Lamar is 8,000. Josh Allen is 7,800. Joe Burrow, 7,200. Jordan Love, 7,000. Patrick Mahomes, 6,800. C.J. Stroud, 6,700. Brock Purdy, 6,600. Kirk Cousins, 6,500. Jared Goff, 6,300. Bo Nix, 6,200. Darnold is 6,100. Tua Tagovailoa, 6,000. Russell Wilson, 5,900. Matthew Stafford, 5,800. Geno Smith, 57. Drake May is 56. Aaron Rodgers, all the way down. How the mighty have fallen. 5,500 for Aaron Rodgers. Jameis Winston in that game against New Orleans, 5,500.
Revenge game.
Yeah, it is a revenge game. You can get Caleb Williams for 5,400. Justin Herbert is cheap once again, 5,300.
Seems too cheap.
Yeah, I mean, against Cincinnati?
Right.
Cincinnati's 29th
defense.
against opposing quarterbacks.
I like that one a lot. I kind of like Winston. I liked Wilson. And I like May. I think May is fantasy gold.
The only problem is they don't have any. He doesn't have any weapons.
Oh, they don't. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. He runs a ton.
Yeah.
Is that too cheap for Herbert?
It is, once again. 50,
Yeah.
He's cheaper this week than he was last week.
I say he's like almost at MVP type level.
Now, maybe
he's
the
been playing
thinking
really
is
well.
that they're going to run on Cincinnati,
I'm sure.
but Burrow's going to score.
I was going to say, I don't know that it's going to be 40 to 42, but
Yeah,
they're going to let up points.
right. That's
I like
too
that
cheap.
one.
All right, we'll go with Herbert. All right, at the run, let's go tight end. Get the single positions out of the way. Kelsey, 6,300. Kittle, 6,000. He's questionable. Brock Bowers, 5,800. David Njoku, 5,500. Evan Ingram, 5,200. Jake Ferguson, 4,900. He's questionable. Kyle Pitts, 4,800. T.J. Hawkinson, 4,700. So he's inching up, but he's still not.
Does it tell you what Titans are against tight ends?
They're sixth.
Okay.
Sixth best.
I know it's a good defense. I was just curious on that one.
Andrews is 4,600. Taysom Hill, 4,500. Tucker Kraft, 4,400. Sam Laporta, he's questionable, 4,300. I don't think he plays this week.
Really?
Pat Freiermuth, 4,200. Baltimore is 26th against opposing tight ends.
He's not getting enough targets, though.
Mike Gesicki is 4,100. Cole Kmet, 4,100. Dalton Schultz, 4,000. Isaiah Likely, 4,000. Hunter Henry, 3,900. Jonnu Smith is 3,800. Las Vegas is 29th against opposing tight ends.
I think he's real.
He's been getting the ball.
Yeah.
Noah Fant is 3,700. Colby Parkinson, 3,600. Dawson Knox, 3,500.
Kincaid just got ruled out.
He's out
a couple hours ago. He's not playing.
We talked about Knox yesterday.
Yeah.
3,500 for a guy who's going to start. And Kansas City, by the way, 32nd against opposing tight ends.
I think him and Jonnu stand out as cheap guys. If you want to spend up a little, I think Hawkinson's still a pretty good bargain.
3,500 for Knox really allows us, because we spent 5,300 on Herbert.
They're really short on pass catch. I'm not sure if Amari's playing.
Right.
Kincaid's out.
That'll really allow us
Coleman's
to
got
get
something
after
wrong
it in
with
some
him.
other positions.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty cheap on quarterback, too.
Yeah, that allows us to spend
And we
an
could
average
go back to defense and you know, borrow some money from that bank, too.
63.50 the rest of the way here, which is nice. At running back, Christian McCaffrey, 8,300. Kamara, 8,200. Derrick Henry, 8,100. Kyron Williams, 7,900. Bijan Robinson, 7,800.
Is Algier banged up?
He's back.
Okay.
Joe Mixon, 7,700.
He gets every carry.
I think they'll run all over Dallas.
I think they'll run all over Dallas.
Jonathan Taylor, 7,600. Breece Hall, 7,500. They got Indianapolis.
I kind of like Hall and Mixon.
Jahmyr Gibbs, 7,300. Devin Achane, 7,200.
It's not bad either.
Josh Jacobs, 7,100. J.K. Dobbins, 7,000. Kenneth Walker is 7,000. Aaron Jones, 6,900.
He just got cleared. He's off the medical.
James Cook, 6,800. Kareem Hunt, 6,700. Buffalo is 31st against opposing running backs.
Are they? I don't think he's good, though.
No, I don't think so either, but he's going to get volume.
That doesn't matter at that position.
DeAndre Swift, 6,600. David Montgomery, 6,500.
That's a little cheap, too.
Jacksonville is 30th against opposing running backs.
Goff threw 5 picks last week.
They're going to run the football.
Yeah.
Chase Brown, 6,500. Tony Pollard is 6,400. ATN, 6,300. Najee Harris, 6,200. Ramondre Stevenson, 6,100.
What are the Rams against the run?
Who they play? They're 12th.
Okay.
Nick Chubb, 6,000. New Orleans.
Is New Orleans bad?
They're 29th.
I bet.
Yeah. He just hasn't looked good.
I wish I saw a little more glimpses of what he used to be.
Rico Dowdell is 6,000. Then you're into the Jordan Masons. Javonte Williams against Atlanta is 5,700.
What's Estime? It seemed less than that?
Yes. Tank Bigsby is 5,600. I can't play Estime yet, though. He only got 14. He only got 14 carries last week.
I'm just wondering how cheap he is.
Let's see here. Tyler Algier, 5,300. Jalen Warren's 5,300. I think he plays. Justice Hill, 5,200. We don't really need a cheap option.
No. I like Warren if we think he's really playing. I liked Hall. I liked Mixon. There was a handful of others. Who were some of the other names that popped out? I thought Achane was pretty good.
Achane's pretty good at 7,200.
Catches a lot of balls.
I like Kyron Williams a lot. I like Joe Mixon a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor, but I like Breece Hall.
Yeah, I like Hall.
They need to win that game.
Yeah. I would think they lean on Hall heavy.
Montgomery at 6,500 is.
That's the other one I jumped out at. Want to put him in?
Let's put him in. That gives us we're right around our budget, and then we can afford.
We think they're going to win. He's
Yeah.
the closer.
He falls into the end zone at least once in that game.
I would have to think so.
Let's go to receiver and see what we like there first.
Okay.
Chase is 8,800. Jefferson 8,600. CeeDee Lamb 8,300. That's too much for.
Yeah, Lamb shouldn't be with those guys anymore.
Amon-Ra St. Brown 8,000. Nico Collins 7,900. Cooper Kupp 7,500. Tyreek Hill 7,400. Puka Nacua 7,300. Devontae Adams 7,200. He's going to play this week. Garrett Wilson 7,100. George Pickens 7,000. That's as expensive as he's been all season.
That's too cheap.
But yeah, it's still.
I was listening to the fantasy pod, and the analyst who I really liked, Dwayne McFarland, said Pickens is my number 5 receiver this week. And
I believe it.
Couldn't fight him at all.
No.
I mean, all the things we talked about all week, and if he's going to be 12 or whatever on this list, it's too cheap.
7,000. Like that's
Yeah,
our
I think
that's our pay up this week.
That's a home run.
Yeah. Tank Dell is 6,900. Zay Flowers is 6,900. Debo Samuel 6,800. Drake London is 6,700. Darnell Mooney will play this week. He is 6,600. Metcalf 6,500. Smith and Jigba 6,500. Jaden Reed 6,400. Josh Downs 6,400. T. Higgins 6,300. He's going to play this week. Khalil Shakir 6,300.
I'd be interested in Shakir for the same Knox reasons. I mean, he's going to be on the field all the time, and he's the most reliable guy.
Calvin Ridley 6,200.
That's cheap. I mean, he's like the only show in town anymore.
They're 30th against opposing wide receivers. Ladd McConkey 6,200.
I like that a lot.
Brian Thomas 6,100. No. DJ Moore 6,000. Michael Pittman 6,000. Cortland Sutton 5,900. The only game in town.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Jalen Waddle 5,900.
Cheap. I wouldn't piece that off. I think that offense blows up this week.
Tyler Lockett 5,800.
I really like Waddle at that price.
Yeah. Jamison Williams 5,800. DeAndre Hopkins 5,700.
It's not bad.
Amari Cooper 5,700. He is questionable.
Yeah.
Jacoby Myers 5,600. Xavier Worthy 5,600. Romeo Dobbs 5,500. Jerry Jeudy 5,400. Alec Pierce 5,400. Juan Jennings 5,300. Cedric Tillman 5,300. Why is
he so cheap?
Why is Jerry Jeudy cheaper than Cedric Tillman?
Tillman's their target
He's the number
leader
one.
times 1,000. They've traded Lattimore.
He hasn't had fewer than 9 targets in a game.
Yeah.
Over like the last 3 games.
I mean, I started him in a heartbeat. I think he's an every week starter. That seems too cheap. I would grab him. I like Waddle a lot too. Are they both under budget?
They're both under budget. Yeah. We could really pay up for a running back.
We like Hall and some of those pricey running backs. Well,
that would give us Pickens, Tillman, and Waddle.
I'm fine with it.
We could have the possibility that we can average 6,700 for the final 2 spots.
For one back and a flex.
Yeah.
You want to go look at like Hall or Kyron Williams or?
We can afford any running back, basically, or any wide receiver that we want.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get Chase, you can get Jefferson, McCaffrey. Well, I'm looking at flex. You could get McCaffrey at 8,300. You could get Kamara, Henry, Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson, Joe Mixon. I kind of like Mixon there, too.
I would say Mixon and Hall stand out to me because then we'd have a really good flex, too.
Yeah, I think Houston wins that game handily, and Mixon scores twice.
And their run defense is horrible.
Horrible.
Let's put Mixon in at the running back spot.
Okay.
And see what we got left in flex.
That gives us 5,700 in the flex. That would get us DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper, Javonte Williams, Jacoby Myers, Tank Bigsby, Xavier Worthy, David Njoku. I don't love this neighborhood.
Let's stay. I don't mind Hopkins, but let's go cheap on D.
Okay. Who do you want to
and
pivot
then
to
see
here?
what neighborhood we get in on that last.
That'll get us in a better neighborhood.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If we go to,
I forget what D we liked.
we had the Titans at 2,300. We had the Browns at 26. We had the Broncos at 29.
Let's just do the cheapest.
You want to go Titans?
See where that lands us. Yeah,
Okay, Titans at 2,300 leaves us 6,500 for the
that
flex.
should be a much different neighborhood.
Yes. Now you can get DK Metcalf,
Okay.
Chase Brown, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tony Pollard, Jaden Reed, Josh Downs, Travis Kelce, Travis Etienne, T. Higgins, Khalil Shakir, Calvin Ridley.
You just take DK?
Well, I'd love to know what his career numbers are against San Francisco. But
I don't think they'll protect well, but they are coming off a bye. He seems like he should be the highest of all those guys mentioned.
yeah.
I mean, he's a pretty good player. Unless you want to cheap out somewhere else, try to get in another higher neighborhood.
I don't know where else we got Herbert. We don't have Herbert stacked with anybody.
I kind of liked McConkey, but we can do better than that.
Yeah. I don't know where else we would go cheap at though, because we went relative. I mean,
there were a couple of ones we went pretty low on.
Yeah. I mean, Mixon would be the one we would have to pivot off of probably.
Was Hall below him?
Yeah.
So look at that.
Okay.
He'll catch more balls than Mixon.
Yeah. So Breece Hall is 7,500. Mixon was 77. So that gives us 6,700. That gets us up into Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco. He's on IR. Never mind. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, DeAndre Swift, and then DK
and those guys. I don't think it's much better.
No, I don't think
if
so.
If London
either.
wasn't playing Surtain, I would jump on that.
So you go back to Mixon over Hall?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in a vacuum, I'd rather have Mixon, I think.
Okay. Where are they at here? We could also go down to a Chan at 7,200.
Let's just test that water.
Okay. That gets us up to 7,000 then for the flex. That gets us into J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Deebo Samuel, James Cook, Kareem Hunt. Okay, so that gets you into that neighborhood. Dobbins, Walker, Jones, Dell, Flowers, Deebo Samuel.
I think I'd stick with Mixon.
Okay. We'll go back to Mixon.
And then somebody DK or cheaper.
You want DK Metcalf?
I guess.
I mean, I like him the best. I mean, if Flacco is playing, I'd say Downs. Although
I know.
The only other one that's Kelsey is attractive.
It's kind of
there.
appealing, yeah. I mean, big game. You know who they're going to lean on.
Yeah. I mean, he could catch 10 passes in this game.
Well, let's do one little different exercise then.
Okay.
Let's put Kelsey in a tight end.
Okay.
And just see if there's anyone we like better than – who was our tight end again? It wasn't John. It was somebody else cheap.
Brock Bowers.
No,
or not Brock Bowers. Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
That leaves us 30.
Which would be fine. We could do Knox.
Yeah.
But let's just see if there's somebody that stands out that shouldn't be there.
3,700 then for the flex, which is really cheap.
Oh, I know. But it at least gets us Dawson Knox, if not better.
Let's see here. Yeah, we know that. Justin Watson, Noah Fant, Johnny Mingo.
I don't know if he plays much.
Troy Franklin, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Colby Parkinson, Calvin Austin, Nelson Aguilar, Khalif Raymond, Van Jefferson, Dawson Knox, Tyler Johnson, Keyshawn Butte. Is that his name, Keyshawn?
Mm-hmm.
Odell Beckham Jr., Tyler Boyd, Tim Patrick, Josh Johnson, Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Polk, Samuel,
Would you rather
Chark.
Dawson Knox or Calvin Austin?
Austin gives you the big playability.
Mm-hmm. I bet they throw. Well, if we'll throw him a bomb or not. But
Yeah. Whereas I think Knox will catch more passes. They are 32nd. Both teams are instances are both 32nd against their respective positions.
And I'm not married to Kelsey being the tight end. We could put Knox back in and go Metcalf or something like that.
What do you think gets us more points?
The more I think through Kelsey, I just think if it's a playoff type game, they lean on their dude. You know what I mean?
I think so too.
Yeah. And I guess Knox could be the flex.
You like Knox better than Austin?
We don't have Wilson in.
We don't, no.
Do we think Austin outsnaps Mike Williams?
Probably.
Then I'd say yes. It's got a low floor, though.
The floor is low, but the ceiling it could be a 70-yard touchdown.
Right. We're on the Steelers audio network, right?
We'll put him in there.
All right.
Calvin Austin, our dart throw. We got Pickens and Austin.
Right. So we were interested in Wilson.
Yeah.
All right. Where
right.
are we at here?
So we got Justin Herbert at quarterback at 5,300. David Montgomery and Joe Mixon at 65 and 7,700. George Pickens at 7,000. Cedric Tillman at 5,300. That's just way too cheap.
Yeah, it's going to be chalky.
Jalen Waddle at 5,900. That would be one that we could pivot off of a little.
Yeah,
cheaper
we
there.
could too.
Travis Kelce at 6,300. Calvin Austin at 3,600. And the Titans defense at 2,300.
If you're in the mood, pull Waddle and Austin out, and we could see where it lands us.
Okay, that gets us then at wide receiver.
If we want to find a cheaper wideout than Waddle.
Waddle was 5,900. That would get you could go to Jamison Williams, Tyler Lockett. They're both 5,800. DeAndre Hopkins at 5,700. Amari Cooper at 5,700. Jacoby Myers at 5,600.
It's not bad.
I don't mind that.
I think he's a really good player.
Xavier Worthy at 5,600. Romeo Dobbs at 5,500. Judy at 5,400. Alec Pierce at 5,400. There's a dart throw.
That's a dart throw with Richardson.
Keenan Allen, Christian Watson, Demarcus Robinson, Jordan Addison, Brandon Cooks, Devontae Wicks, Rome Odunze, Ricky Pearsall at 4,900. I don't hate that.
No. I was also thinking of Dunze. New offensive coordinator. Who do you like better out of Dunze?
Get Josh Palmer to at 4,700 to stack with Herbert.
With Herbert. I don't know how much he's playing lately.
Um,
What do you think about Pearsall or Dunze? And then bump up our flex.
I kind of like Pearsall.
Yeah.
4,900. I mean, so his game log against Kansas City, 5.1 points. Against Dallas, 11.7. Against Tampa Bay, 17.3. Kind of trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Targets
It's getting healthy, too.
5, 4, and 6 on the targets.
Let's do it. I bet we'll like our flex a lot more than Knox or Austin.
That gets us up to 4,700 on the flex, I should say, the flex. And that would get us T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's better than Knox, yeah.
That would get us Palmer, Tyjae Spears, Demario Douglas, Kamani Vidal, Jaleel McLaughlin, Ezekiel Elliott, Mark Andrews, Samaje Perine.
I like Hawk.
I think we just plugged Hawkinson in.
Yeah. I wanted to get him in the lineup anyway.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so now.
Run the double tight end set.
Yeah, we're going double tights. We got Herbert at quarterback, David Montgomery and Joe Mixon at running back, George Pickens, Cedric Tillman, Ricky Pearsall at wide receiver, Travis Kelce at the tight end position with T.J. Hawkinson in the flex and the Titans defense.
I don't see any cheapy could be garbage guys. I mean, anyone could get a 0, of course.
Yeah.
But, Knox or Austin could have been rough. I like their value, but I like it.
I'm going to lock it in.
Lock that sucker in.
There it is. That's our lineup for this week. So there you go. We'll put that on the YouTube page. We'll tweet that or send that out to you. So that's our DFS lineup for this week. Well, hopefully we get in the money, and we'll see where that goes. But he is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. Accept no imitations. And, Matt, it is time to take a look at this week's games. And we'll kick things off with the 1 o'clock game. No overseas games anymore this year.
Yeah, it doesn't break my heart.
Yeah, the one last week was a little,
Yeah,
but
I don't mind any standalone game I like because it's paying more attention to it. But I will say, as much as I love my job and watching football, a quadruple header can.
It's a long Sunday.
Yeah, you kind of get a little cross-eyed by halftime on Monday or Sunday night.
So at 1 o'clock, you got the 6-3 Packers at the 4-5 Bears. Green Bay favored by 5. The over/under 40.5.
Feeling good about Green Bay coming off a bye.
Yeah.
I think Love's going to be healthier. Not super excited about offensive coordinator change, bump, blah, blah, blah. I think that offense is broken. Are they going to learn how to block all of a sudden? I have my doubts.
Williams going to learn to get the ball out more quickly.
I'm not quite buying that.
Yeah, I think the Packers win this one pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I think Green Bay is going to look like a real contender the rest of the way. Yeah.
You got the 2-8 Jaguars at the 8-1 Lions. This is the largest spread of the season. Detroit favored by 14, and the over/under is 46.5. Hello, Mac Jones. Meet the Lions defense.
Yeah, it's going to be brutal. So, okay, my buddies just sent me this too. One of my buds was watching Pardon My Take, And I guess
Well, I feel bad for him. But
I don't know why I would either. But anyway, since 2010, the Jags have been 13 or more point underdogs 18 times.
wow.
Since
I
1970.
just said the 14 in this game is the largest of the season.
Right.
There's a lot of bad teams out there.
Yeah, like it's rare to get to 13, 14, 18 times since 2010.
What's their record in those games, Matt?
I don't know that, but I bet not good.
Yeah.
But for perspective, since 1970, the Steelers have been a 13-point dog once. I'll take the Lions.
Yeah, I'll take the Lions. Too.
Yeah.
I mean, that place, Detroit's become a very difficult place to play.
Oh, absolutely.
Those
And
fans are into it.
they've been treated poorly for a long time.
And they are into it.
They are into it, yes.
Yeah.
One of the hardest places, I would think.
Yeah.
And the team's good.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You got the 7-2 Vikings at the 2-7 Titans. Minnesota favored by 6. The over/under 39.5. Will Levis played okay last week.
Yeah.
The Vikings did not play well last night.
No, they didn't. I'm worried about Darnold. We took the Titans D. It's in their building. I'm going to bet on Flores, though.
Yeah.
Pick 6 or Levis hit and scoop score or something like that.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson has gone 3 straight games without a receiving touchdown.
Ooh, I like the chance of that change.
He's not had a 4-game drought since 2022, and he went 6 games without a touchdown reception. I think he ends that this week.
I have a feeling that's been brought up around the facility.
Yeah. Throw him the ball in the end zone. How about that? I think the Vikings cover that one.
Mm-hmm.
Might be a little tighter than
Yeah,
you
I can see
expect.
the D keeping it close.
The 2-7 Raiders are at the 3-6 Dolphins. Miami favored by a touchdown. The over/under 43.5.
I feel good about the Dolphins in that one.
Yeah, I think their offense gets back to. Although Tyreek being a little nicked up,
It's not great,
not great.
but I do think, that's the Dolphins' offense. I remember.
Yeah, I think
and
a
the
chance
defense
could go
played
off.
well. Yeah, me too.
I think the Dolphins win that one. You got the 4-5 Rams at the 3-7 Patriots. The Rams favored on the road by 5. The over/under 43.5. I'll take the points in that one.
Yeah, me too. I could see them just hanging around.
Yeah.
May makes plays. It's a long, tough road trip. Where are the Rams at right now?
Indoor team, outdoors.
Yeah.
In the cold, in the Northeast.
Yeah,
The Patriots run the football. They'll mush it up a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe the Rams drop 40 on them. I mean, it's possible, but I just don't smell it.
You got the 2-7 Browns at the 3-7 Saints. New Orleans favored by 1. The over/under 44.5. I'll take the Browns.
Me too. Saints nowadays, I pretty much look at, will Carr be under pressure or not? Myles Garrett is probably enough to pressure him, and he'll get hit. And I'm not putting money on Valdez Scantling and those pass catchers being real dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll take Tillman and Judy and those guys.
Yeah, Saints 1-5 against the spread their last 6 games because at that point everybody thought they were still a decent team. They're not.
Agreed. I agree. Yeah.
They're not a good team. At 1 o'clock, you got the 4-6 Colts at the 3-7 Jets. Lose or go home.
I'll take the points.
The Jets favored by 4.
Yeah.
And the over/under 43.5.
I'm not comfortable laying 4 to a
The
okay
Jets have been
team.
favored like 5 games in a row.
I say, we just keep falling for this, that Rodgers is the MVP and everything's fine in Gotham. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure who's better. I think the Colts are probably better. They've had a better year.
So the Jets missed 20 tackles in last week's blowout loss to the Cardinals. They put a major emphasis on tackling fundamentals in practice.
Oh, you think they're dragging each other to the
Not-
ground on
yeah,
Wednesday
they're
and
not
Thursday?
tackling in practice. I mean,
Right.
come on.
They probably got yelled at by the defensive
Yeah,
coordinator.
you gotta
This
tackle
stinks
better.
as they're watching tape. But
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how much their effort is in it.
I don't know either. And you got Rodgers saying, well, I think I'll be back next year and things like that.
Yeah, there's bad vibes all
Yeah.
year. They got a backup coach that doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah. You got the 6-4 Falcons at the 5-5 Broncos. Denver favored by 2.5. The over/under 44.5.
I don't feel strong about it, but I think Denver ekes out enough of a win there. You haven't played in Denver much as an NFC team. Fourth quarter against a physical team could be not your friend. I just don't. I'm really down on Atlanta's defense and the pass rush and trenches in general. but I don't feel confident about that. I would not go down that road.
I'll take the Falcons in that one. I just have a feeling. They lost last week to New Orleans. That's
probably a tough week around there.
Yeah. They're 3-1 against the spread on the road this year. I think they get this one.
I could certainly see it. I mean, I think they're more talented.
Yeah.
You know.
You get the 4-5. This is a 4:00 game. The 4-5 Seahawks. I think the last one was too. Yeah. 4
Yeah,
o'clock.
it is.
Seahawks at 4-5 at the 5-4 49ers. San Francisco favored by 6.5. The over/under 45.5.
I know Seattle's coming off a bye, but I don't think you fix your O-line. It's because there's bad players there.
Yeah.
Gino's getting hit a lot. I could see this being a game you look back and be like, that's when Seattle fell out of the West race, and that's when the Niners got hot and became a Super Bowl contender in the NFC.
Yeah, if Kenneth Walker gets 25 touches in this game, Seattle has a chance.
Yep.
But that's about the only chance that they have. I'll take the 49ers.
New coaching staff, how did they handle the bye? You know, it's not Shanahan.
They just cut their leading tackler during the bye.
Yeah.
They're doing some funky things.
Strange stuff.
4:25 game, the national game. The 9-0 Chiefs are at the 8-2 Buffalo Bills. Buffalo favored by 2, the over/under 45.5.
There's something that's worth noting. They play close games, the Chiefs.
Yes.
And Butker's out. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, he's one of the best kickers out there, and they're going to go get a replacement-level dude. But we talked about this in fantasy segment. The pass catchers for the Bills are thin, to say the least. I'll just take Mahomes in points.
I'll take the Bills.
Well,
I think they win this outright.
Do you?
Yeah. The Chiefs are 7-0 in one-score games.
Yeah.
And now you're taking the kicker out of the equation.
I know. I think
Buffalo
it's a big deal.
is not an easy place to kick.
No, right.
You're right on the lake. There's
Right.
Wind is going to be a factor. We know what the weather's been like here all week long. I'll take the Bills.
Yeah.
I think this is
I'm
their
psyched
Super
to
Bowl.
watch it.
This is their Super Bowl.
It's huge for them because it could mean a lot with who gets a 1 seed, of course. And
The Chiefs have been walking that line
heavily.
Like, do we expect Buffalo to get a field goal blocked at the end of the game to win it?
No,
I don't.
No. Those kind of things, no.
No, I think.
But I think they'll throw Kelsey the ball a ton, and I like their defense. It's gonna be a really close game. That's why it's 1 point.
You got the 8:20 game Sunday night. The 4-6 Bengals are at the 6-3 Chargers. LA favored by 1.5. The over/under 47.5.
I feel really
the
good about
Chargers haven't given up more than 20 points all season long.
I know.
And the over/under is 47.5. I'll take the under.
I'll take the under. I think that's one of the few quarterbacks that can hang with Burrow, same draft class. And I just think the Chargers are so much mentally and physically tougher. The more I watch Cincinnati, they're really soft. They're in both trenches. Their O-line's at the bottom of the list nowadays, even though they're huge.
Oh, Burrow's going to get hit.
He's going to get hit a lot. I like Higgins coming back for him. Don't get me wrong. That's definitely helpful. But I bet Harbaugh's looking at that defense. No, not at all. I bet Harbaugh's looking at that Bengals defense going, we're going to successfully move the ball time and time again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Chargers in that one.
Mm-hmm. Think many Bengals fans are there to sway things?
Probably not.
Not really.
Yeah. And the Monday night game, the Houston Texans, the Battle of Texas here.
The networks can't be thrilled how this ended up.
No.
Right.
The 6-4 Texans at the 3-6 Cowboys. Houston favored by 7.5. The over/under 47.5. Give me the road team.
I want Houston. Yeah. I think Nico's going to be back. I think Will Anderson's going to be back. I think this is a get-right game. I thought they showed a lot of signs of life last week.
Cowboys are 0-4 at home this year.
Yeah. And I could see the second half. Boo Birds, fire McCarthy.
It
could be a bad environment.
At least it's a night game, and they don't have to worry about the sun shining through it, where Jerry doesn't buy the curtains to cover that up.
Right.
So they got that going for them.
That's big.
Which is nice.
But a spotlight game, getting embarrassed by a team like Houston could definitely be in.
Yeah, Houston's ready to show, hey, we're the team of Texas.
Yep.
And
I don't think 7.5's enough.
Blow the Cowboys' doors off.
Yeah. Stingley on Lamb. Yeah, I mean, they'll run the ball on them. We were in big
Ferguson's
on
banged up.
Right.
It's not a good spot for the Cowboys.
Not a good spot.
Absolutely. That's all this week's games, except
Decent
for one.
Yeah, one more.
Except for one.
Good one.
It's a good one, and we will talk about that next. We'll give our picks. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and it is time. The thing that everybody waits for at the end of every week. Who we picking in the Steelers-Ravens game? And you want me to go first?
Yeah, take it away.
All right. Steelers are 3-point underdogs in this game. The over-under 47.5. And I've gone back and forth on this game all week long. It's a really difficult one. To me, it comes down to this. The Ravens have allowed an NFL high 22 completions this season on passes of 20 or more yards downfield.
Brutal.
And that's been with Kyle Hamilton on the field. Now, I expect Kyle Hamilton to at least try to play in this one. But they're not good defending the deep ball. And what do the Steelers do? They throw the deep ball.
Yeah.
Maybe better than anybody else.
Passing
yeah.
is
It's remarkably different than it was a month ago.
Yep.
We also know that the Steelers have gotten to Lamar Jackson a little bit. I don't expect Lamar Jackson to have the games that he has had in the past. I expect him to do some things in this game.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I expect him to move the football, and you're going to give up some plays to Lamar Jackson in that offense. It's just going to happen. But I think this Steelers team is equipped. Last year, both these games were 17-10. It's not going to be that.
I don't think so either. I know that they always are in self-fulfilling prophecy, blah, blah, blah.
I don't think that's the case this time around.
I don't either.
I've got the Steelers winning this one 27-24. If this game were in Baltimore, I'd be picking Baltimore. I don't think I don't think either team sweeps the other one this year. And I'll take the home team in this one, getting points at home. Tomlin 18-10 straight up as a home underdog. So it's happened 28 times, and he's won 18 of them.
Yeah, those aren't flukes.
I think sometimes Harbaugh gets in his own head in these situations, might do something stupid that you go, what's he doing that for? Go for it on 4th and 1 and not have Derrick Henry touch the ball or something like that, that you're just going to get – something's going to happen, and he's going to make a mistake. And I don't think Mike Tomlin makes that kind of mistake in this kind of game.
I'm picking the Ravens to win. I'm confident in Steelers +3, though. I mean, I really think it's going to be a close game. And
you should have got it earlier in the week then when it was 3.5.
Yeah.
They had that hook on there.
And therefore, if it's a close game, penalties, turnovers, special teams are all going to be extremely important.
Those things all favor the Steelers.
All three favor the Steelers. And that's why I'm really having a hard time with who I think wins.
I think Boswell wins it at the end on a field goal.
Wouldn't be shocked at all. But I went with Ravens 26, Steelers 24. Close game as usual. Big plays on both sides of the ball. I'm really impressed with Baltimore's offense. I mean, when it comes down to is, okay, maybe they're bottling up Lamar well, but can you bottle up the other guy? Or, boy, Henry's not doing anything, but why does Mark Andrews have 5 catches and 2 touchdowns? And why is Zay Flowers a problem? I don't feel confident at all in the winner. I really don't. And if it wasn't Baltimore, I'd probably pick the exact same score with the Ravens winning. And I think home field matters.
I do too. Usually it doesn't in this matchup.
I know. It just feels like it
just
does.
Like this year, though, it feels like it might.
And there's so much excitement, and the Steelers are, by all our listeners' probably standards, have outkicked their coverage. I'm a little more excited to go to the game than I thought I would have been when I was a season ticket holder even. Place is going to be nuts. I don't want to pick Steelers to lose, and I don't feel strong about it, but I really respect the Ravens' offense.
I do too. I respect their offense. What I don't trust in this game, and it's strange to say, I don't trust Justin Tucker.
He's a definite disadvantage.
The Steelers have a major advantage at kicker, and that's never been the case in a game against the Ravens.
No, even when they've had Boz, who's a really good kicker.
Yeah.
I mean, now half the league has an advantage.
Is Harbaugh going to run him out there to make a kick from 50-plus yards? He's 3 for his last 10.
I wonder how much confidence Harbaugh has in Tucker.
That's the thing.
Has it wavered at all? I mean, he shouldn't have as much.
It should.
I mean, it should definitely have changed his thoughts.
He's missed 5 kicks this year.
But if it's a 60-yarder to win it.
They're not doing that anymore.
Is he chucking it downfield for the Hail Mary, or is he trotting out Tucker?
Yeah.
I know which one I would do, but I'm not sure what he would do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be a very close game. I've gone back and forth. I'm taking the birdies, but I hope I'm wrong. There's a really good chance I'm wrong.
Yeah, I just think, it's going to be a classic Steelers-Ravens matchup, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I would be disappointed if it wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a different kind of Steelers-Ravens matchup. It's going to be, there's one game a few years ago, it's 39-38.
Yeah.
Like, it could be that kind of game. I don't think it gets to that level, but
I'd also be a little shocked if they play like the worst pass defense in the league. I mean,
I won't.
What's that?
I won't.
I mean, I don't know that all those guys
how are they fixing it?
I don't know that Humphrey and Williams and Wiggins. I don't know about Hamilton if he plays or not. That would be big. I don't know if they're all shot. You know, like, I don't think it's going to be good.
Well, I know Humphrey's not shot.
Yeah, right.
But I think Williams might be.
Williams might be. I mean, I don't think Wiggins is. He's a first-round pick, obviously.
But he's still a first-round pick. And there's you mentioned the penalties.
Mm-hmm. It's huge.
The Ravens have 80 penalties this season, by far the most in the league.
Yeah, it's awful.
By far.
It's awful. And
if they draw, this crew likes to call holding penalties.
Yep.
The one way to slow this Baltimore offense down is to draw a bunch of holding penalties.
Yep.
And if that's the case, if T.J. Watt's getting out, T.J. Watt against Roger Rosengarten is a problem.
Massive problem, right?
It's a problem.
I mean, that's the easiest
Keanu
one.
Benton against Falele, in the nickel is going to be a problem. Or Ogunjobi,
right?
It's going to be a problem.
And I think Cam against their left guard too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real easy to look at Watt and Rosengarten. I mean, it's low hanging fruit, but Cam's gonna have a good game.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind, and I like that Preston Smith and Herbig are going to be the other guys. You know. No, I think they're in good shape. I don't have a great reason why I'm picking the Ravens. I just think their offense is
You're
loaded.
giving them all that respect.
I love their offense. I mean, I still think, they may have some holding penalties, but they might beat you over the top for a 50-yarder too. I mean, they're just so explosive.
The Steelers haven't given up a bunch of those.
No, they haven't.
People are talking about Minkah Fitzpatrick's not having a good year. The reason the Steelers haven't given up a bunch of those over-the-top plays is because Minkah Fitzpatrick's not having a bad year.
Yep.
He's
and the ball's coming out a little quicker.
Yeah.
Because they fear the pass rush, and then that's why there's on many sacks. You know.
The thing that scares me about the Baltimore offense is Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
Catch and run.
A lot. I didn't love how the Steelers corners played last week. Porter doesn't worry me, but the other guys do a little bit. I didn't like how Sutton played coming back. But I think you're going to get their best game. You know, everyone's involved. Can't wait.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We'll see. We'll be back on Monday to recap the whole thing and see where the carnage, which side it falls on. If the Steelers win, they get to 8-2. If the Ravens win, they get to 8-3. They would be tied with the Steelers. Well, they'd be a game ahead of the Steelers, they haven't had their bye week yet.
Their bye is super late.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes here, but it's going to be a telling game.
I would think.
Yeah.
And it's going to be down to the wire, I think.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I just think it's going to be a classic Steelers-Ravens 3-point game one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Again, but what I feel most confident about is you're going to give me 3 points at home? Sure.
Yeah. But that's going to do it for the shows this week, Matt. That's
good week.
Another week in the books.
Next week's a little goofy.
Next week is a little goofy. I hate the short weeks, especially on the road.
Oh, yeah. I'm fortunate I don't have to travel, but folks, we got to take like 5 days of prep and squash them into 3 and all the stuff we have to do. It's just
2.
Yeah, really.
Really. I mean, it's unbelievable what you have to do and what teams have to do to get ready to play these Thursday night games. But the league insists on it, so there we are. But that's going to do it for our show. For Matt Williamson, for C.J. Wolfley manning the Justin Miller hotline today, for Tyler Vittmeyer making sure our video gets out there on YouTube for you all to see. I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.